New Google quantum computer, the way a quantum computer works, a problem that would take thousands of years for every computer on Earth, it can solve in a second.
When Google's quantum chip suddenly shut down right after completing a mind-blowing calculation, it wasn't a plot twist from a sci-fi movie, it was real. And once the story hit Joe Rogan's radar, millions couldn't stop talking.
We should have to Google how quantum computers work and why people connect them to the multiverse.
But what really caused the shutdown? Was it a glitch or something far more mysterious? Dive in as we unravel the facts, the fallout, and why this event could change everything you thought you knew about the future of technology. The Shutdown Explained. So here's the situation. Google's quantum chip, one of the most advanced pieces of technology ever built, reportedly shut down right after completing a major calculation. No slow fade-out, no system error screen, just a sudden stop. There's no official press release from Google outlining every detail of the incident, but based on timelines and bits of information that surfaced shortly after the Rogan episode, it seems Google's quantum team was conducting an experiment with their Sycamore chip, the same one that, back in 2019, supposedly achieved quantum supremacy by solving a problem no classical computer could handle in a reasonable amount of time. During one of these recent experiments, the chip reportedly completed a highly complex quantum computation, and then, almost immediately, everything went dark. The system shut down, not like a blue screen of death moment, but a total blackout. No output, no system logs, no follow-up explanation, just silence. That silence is what really set things off. In the podcast conversation, the way it was framed wasn't about a glitch or a mechanical issue. The guest suggested that the chip had generated something unexpected, something that, according to them, didn't fit within our current understanding of physics. Now, that could mean a lot of things, but when you start talking about a machine running on quantum principles, returning a result no one can explain, people start listening and speculating. So what could it have possibly revealed?
Well, one of the things that I've talked to about with some pretty insanely brilliant people is quantum computing.
There are a few grounded possibilities, none of which require time travel or black holes. One is that the chip returned data with anomalous patterns, something so far outside the range of what the team expected that it raised serious questions. Another is the possibility that the chip touched on security protocols. Quantum chips have the theoretical power to break modern encryption, so if this experiment even hinted at cracking secure systems, Google's team might have hit the panic button. Then there's the issue of computational overload. If the chip generated a recursive structure or feedback loop too complex to contain, it could have triggered a failsafe. On the other hand, it could have just been a hardware issue. Quantum chips operate under insanely strict conditions. They're kept near absolute zero and are sensitive to heat, electromagnetic noise, even the tiniest vibrations. A hiccup in temperature control, a power surge, or even cosmic radiation could have forced the system to shut down. It's not uncommon in quantum computing for delicate setups to crash simply because of environmental instability. Still, it's the lack of response from Google that has kept this story alive. As of now, the company hasn't offered a public explanation. That's not unusual. Companies tend to keep quiet about internal experiments, especially when they involve bleeding-edge tech. But in this case, the silence has been deafening. When you combine that with the viral reach of Joe Rogan's platform, it created the perfect storm. A mystery, a megaphone, and a tech world already on edge about what quantum computing could mean for the future. What really happened when that chip shut down? We still don't know, but the fact that it made headlines without a single official word from Google says a lot, not just about the chip, but about how ready the world is to believe that something big is brewing in the shadows of Silicon Valley. Understanding Google's quantum chip. To really understand why the shutdown of Google's quantum chip matters, and why it has people spooked, intrigued, or both, you need to get a sense of what this chip actually is. This isn't just a faster version of your laptop's processor. It's not a supercomputer in a lab somewhere humming through massive calculations. This is something else entirely. Google's Sycamore chip operates on a different set of rules, rules dictated by the bizarre, unpredictable world of quantum physics. Here's the wild part. Traditional computers, like the one you're probably using right now, run on bits. Those bits can be either a 0 or a 1, simple, binary decisions. Quantum computers, on the other hand, use qubits. And these little guys are weird. A qubit can be a 0, a 1, or both at the same time. It's called superposition, and it means that instead of doing one calculation at a time, a quantum chip can process an unimaginable number of possibilities simultaneously. And when qubits interact, they can become entangled, meaning the state of one instantly affects the state of another, no matter how far apart they are. It's like spooky action at a distance, Einstein's words, not mine. What does that mean in practice? Well, with the Sycamore chip, Google set out to prove that quantum computers could outperform classical ones at certain tasks. In 2019, they made headlines claiming they had reached quantum supremacy, which basically means their quantum chip solved a problem in 200 seconds that would have taken the most powerful supercomputer on Earth around 10,000 years. That announcement sent shockwaves through the tech world. Suddenly, quantum wasn't just theoretical anymore. It was real and it worked. But here's where things start to get heavy. Quantum chips like Sycamore aren't good at everything. They're not going to replace your smartphone. What they are good at is solving problems that are almost impossible for classical computers. Things like simulating molecules for drug development, optimizing global logistics in real time, or, in the more dystopian corner of the internet, cracking encryption that keeps our online world secure. That's why companies like Google, IBM, and even national governments are pouring billions into this tech, because whoever controls it could reshape industries overnight. Sycamore itself isn't massive in size, but it's groundbreaking in capability. It's made up of 53 qubits, and while that might sound small, it's more than enough to enter territory where even scientists aren't always sure what's going to happen. Quantum systems are sensitive. The entire chip has to be cooled to near absolute zero, colder than outer space, just to function. A single bit of interference, whether it's electrical noise or a minor temperature shift, can throw the whole system off.
The tech giant said on Wednesday that it's achieved a breakthrough in computer research called quantum supremacy.
So when a chip like Sycamore runs an experiment and then shuts down unexpectedly, it's not like your PC freezing. It's more like a controlled nuclear reactor going dark for no reason, small in size, but massive in consequence. The power these systems could unlock is something we're only beginning to grasp. And if that chip really did produce a result that was beyond our current understanding, something no classical computer could have predicted, then the shutdown may not have been a bug at all. It might have been a safety switch, or worse, a hard stop triggered by something the engineers didn't fully understand. That's the tightrope we're walking with quantum tech. We're building machines that can see into the deep end of the mathematical universe, but we're still trying to figure out how to read what they're sending back. But what happens when quantum computing doesn't just process information? It starts powering artificial intelligence, breaking barriers and opening new frontiers. Quantum AI isn't just the next step in computing, it's a leap that could redefine the very foundation of how machines process information and solve problems. Unlike classical AI, which works within well-understood limits of binary computation, quantum AI opens doors to tackling challenges previously considered impossible or impractical. One of the most exciting breakthroughs lies in how quantum AI can revolutionize optimization problems. From designing new materials to streamlining global supply chains, optimization often involves evaluating an astronomical number of possibilities. Classical AI and supercomputers can handle many scenarios, but the scale of some problems explodes exponentially, making them intractable. Quantum AI, thanks to its unique computational approach, promises to explore these vast possibility spaces simultaneously, finding solutions far faster and more efficiently. This ability has far-reaching implications for healthcare and drug discovery. Developing new medicines is a notoriously slow and expensive process because it requires simulating complex molecular interactions at the quantum level, something classical computers struggle with. Quantum AI could simulate these interactions in unprecedented detail, speeding up the identification of effective compounds and reducing the time it takes to bring life-saving drugs to market. Another breakthrough is in climate modeling and environmental science. The Earth's climate system is an intricate web of variables, making accurate predictions incredibly difficult. Quantum AI could analyze this complexity more effectively, enabling scientists to forecast extreme weather events, model climate change impacts with greater precision, and design better strategies for sustainability. Cybersecurity is also on the edge of transformation. Quantum AI may be the key to both cracking and building new encryption systems. While quantum computers threaten current encryption standards, quantum AI might simultaneously develop next-generation security protocols that are virtually unbreakable, helping safeguard critical infrastructure and personal data in an increasingly connected world. Beyond practical applications, quantum AI could fundamentally change machine learning and reasoning. Classical AI models learn by adjusting parameters through large datasets, but quantum AI might uncover hidden correlations and structures that classical approaches miss. This could lead to new forms of artificial intelligence that are more adaptable, creative, and capable of understanding nuance in ways similar to human cognition.
Quantum computer, that it can perform a computation in seconds, what would take the world's fastest supercomputer.
The race to harness quantum AI is already accelerating. Leading tech companies and startups are investing heavily in research, pushing the boundaries of hardware and algorithms. While fully functional, large-scale quantum AI remains a future goal, early experiments are already showing promise, hinting at transformative breakthroughs ahead. Quantum AI is poised to shatter existing limits and open new frontiers across science, technology, and society. It's not just about making machines faster, it's about enabling them to solve problems and think in ways we've never imagined, with potential benefits and challenges that will touch every aspect of our lives. Implications of a quantum shutdown. Let's imagine, just for a second, that Google's quantum chip didn't shut down because of a glitch or some dusty wire deep in a freezing lab. Let's say it stopped because it hit something different, something it wasn't supposed to touch, or something we weren't ready to see. What then? This is where the story moves from curiosity to consequences. Because if a quantum chip really did perform a calculation so bizarre or advanced that it caused a shutdown, that's not just a tech failure. That's a philosophical moment. It's a red flag, waving at the edge of what humanity understands. One possibility: the chip produced data that didn't make sense. Quantum computers deal in probabilities and patterns, but they're still guided by physics as we know it. If a chip starts generating results that contradict known laws, say predicting outcomes with impossible accuracy, or returning patterns that no algorithm should be able to produce, then we're talking about something that brushes up against the edges of reality itself. That's not science fiction. That's the kind of thing that makes physicists lose sleep. Another possibility: the chip performed a task related to decryption and succeeded. One of the biggest fears in cybersecurity right now is that quantum computers will eventually break all modern encryption. Every password, every secure transaction, every encrypted government file, suddenly vulnerable. If Google's chip accidentally demonstrated even a fraction of that ability, even as a side effect of an unrelated experiment, that would be enough to freak out entire industries. And if that happened quietly in a lab, a silent shutdown might not be a failure. It could be a fail-safe.
This is Sycamore. Google says it's the first quantum computer to achieve supremacy over traditional computing.
Or maybe it wasn't just about what the chip did, but what it unlocked. Some theorists believe that quantum computing could open doors not just to new calculations, but to new dimensions of understanding, new forms of intelligence, even. Could the chip have tapped into something resembling consciousness, or a form of artificial awareness? That's the kind of speculation that gets laughed off in academic halls, but whispered about behind closed doors in certain tech circles. And it's also the kind of scenario that, if real, would absolutely require someone to hit the emergency stop button. Let's not forget, quantum computers don't just do things faster, they do things differently. They compute across multiple possible states, explore scenarios in parallel universes of math. That means they don't just solve problems, they reveal things. And some of those things might be dangerous. It's not that the chip knew too much, but that it might have shown us something too soon, before we were equipped to handle it, interpret it, or control it. There's also the very human side of this: fear. When you're building machines that you barely understand, there's always a risk of running into the unknown. The shutdown could have been a human decision, a team pulling the plug out of caution, confusion, or even fear of what the next line of data would show. In that context, the event becomes less about hardware and more about a warning sign. The bottom line? If this shutdown wasn't just a malfunction, then it might represent one of the first moments in modern tech where we truly reached beyond our grasp. Not in theory, not in a simulation, but in real, physical, digital action. And that raises a huge question. Are we ready for machines that can see deeper into the universe than we can? Ethical and security concerns. Now, zoom out for a second. A quantum chip shutting down mid-calculation is dramatic enough, but the bigger issue here isn't just what happened, it's who controls this kind of technology and what could happen next. Because quantum computing isn't just another tech buzzword, it's a power shift. And when something this big is in the hands of just a few major players, it raises all kinds of red flags: ethical, political, and even existential. First off, there's the security issue. It's no secret that quantum computing has the potential to obliterate our current encryption systems. Banks, hospitals, governments, they all rely on encryption to keep sensitive data safe. Quantum machines could eventually slice through those layers of protection like butter. In fact, some experts say that governments are already collecting encrypted data now, just to decrypt it later when quantum tech catches up. That's not paranoia, that's actual strategy. So if a chip like Google's really did get close to that kind of capability, even accidentally, you can bet the people in charge would hit the brakes hard. But there's another layer to this: control. Right now, quantum development is being driven by a handful of tech giants: Google, IBM, Microsoft, and a few government-backed labs. These organizations are pouring billions into building the future, and they're doing it largely behind closed doors. There's no democratic process here, no public debate. The people steering the ship aren't elected. They're corporate execs, engineers, and government contractors. That's a problem. Because if this technology has the power to change everything from global finance to national defense to artificial intelligence itself, then the public deserves a seat at the table, or at least a glimpse at the menu. There are also major ethical questions about how we should use quantum computing, assuming we can even control it. Should we be pushing forward with something that could break our internet, disrupt economies, or accidentally unleash AI systems we can't manage? Should there be a pause button? A global agreement, a quantum Geneva Convention, so to speak? These questions aren't hypothetical. As tech evolves faster than legislation or philosophy can keep up, we're running into real-world scenarios with no precedent. What happens if a quantum machine makes a medical discovery that can't be explained? Do we trust it? What if it finds a loophole in economic systems? What if it simulates intelligence so convincingly that we can't tell whether it's aware? These aren't just sci-fi scenarios anymore. They're on the horizon, and that horizon is approaching fast. Then there's the ethics of access. If only a handful of companies can afford quantum computers, who benefits? Will the breakthroughs be used for public good, curing diseases, solving climate models, or will they be funneled into profit, power, and surveillance? We've seen how advanced algorithms can be used for ad targeting and data mining. Imagine what happens when you give those same systems quantum-level processing power. And finally, we come back to the mystery of the shutdown. If Google's chip really did reveal something powerful, what's the ethical obligation there? Share it? Hide it? Warn the world? The fact that we even have to ask those questions tells you how unprepared we are, not just technologically, but philosophically, for what this new era could bring. So yes, a quantum chip shutting down is interesting. But what's even more interesting and far more important is what it means for the rest of us. We're standing at the edge of a computing revolution. The question now isn't just whether we can cross that line, It's whether we're ready for what's on the other side. The sudden shutdown of Google's quantum chip isn't just a tech glitch. It's a glimpse into a future where quantum computing and AI could reshape our world in ways we're only beginning to understand.
All those trajectories interfere them to make an accurate prediction of what states to see in the future.
From unlocking breakthroughs in medicine and climate science to challenging the very foundations of security and intelligence, quantum AI holds enormous promise and serious risks. But with great power comes great responsibility. As this technology races forward, we need transparency, ethical guardrails, and informed public conversations to guide its development. The mystery around the chip's shutdown reminds us that we're standing at the edge of something profound, a new era of computing that could unlock unimaginable potential, but also forces us to ask hard questions about control, safety, and the future we want to build. The real story isn't just about a machine that stopped working, it's about what happens when machines start thinking in ways we never expected. That's the end of the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, for more.